7 here, and I'll be doing the review for the Master Grade RX 7082 Gundam version 2.0. I didn't have time to buy nor build the 3.0, so I had to resort to a simpler option. That is, if simpler wasn't the useful term for this guy. Simply put, this guy was hard to find, especially in where I live. I'll talk about more of that in, I guess, the description, but for now, let's just talk about the figure. This is a review after all. Anyway, this rendition of the Gundam in Master Grade form, aka the Master Grade 2.0, is basically what you expected. It's essentially just the Granddaddy Gundam. Pretty much scaled up to, I guess, what, 7-8 inches? I haven't actually measured it. Anyway, the details here are really sparse. In fact, there's barely any detail here except when you flip the feet. And there's a bunch of detail down there. But most of the detail did go into the inner frame, which I will not be covering in this video, but in the second part. I will be splitting the video into 2 parts so that I can make everything easier, and basically this iPad I'm using doesn't necessarily have much storage, so I kinda don't have much to rely upon. Anyway, the colors on here are really, I guess, are pretty much in line with the animation, except what I noticed with my copy was it's looking a little less more, I guess the blue and the red aren't as vibrant, but for some reason the orange, or I should say yellow, I'm not really sure, is kinda I think the colors on my copy kind of changed. I don't know. I actually bought this guy pre-used. He wasn't built, but I think the original guy I bought this from might have done something with the colors a little bit. So I'm not really sure about that myself. Anyway, as for color separation, nothing's really missing, except I actually didn't get a sticker since, well, the guy used it for other purposes, and I can understand, but I had to actually replace it and color it in black, and yeah, I don't think that was a pretty good idea. I did paint some of the Vulcans yellow, but that was just some minor detail practice. Most of the paint I did do went into the pistons, but again, second part, we should wait for that, I guess, around next week. If not, next week's probably around Friday. So be sure to stick around for that. Anyway, the reason I actually bought this thing is pretty much I like the Granddaddy Gundam design, but the 3.0 was just a bit too realistic and not for my liking. But overall, I actually do like how it looks. Instead, I just went for the 2.0 because it was cheaper and pretty much just a lot more easier to find than the 3.0. Now, I said this thing was difficult to find, but the 3.0 just makes it a little bit worse. Probably even more. Anyway, enough ranting. Again, I will not be covering much in this video except for I'll only be covering pretty much the basics of the Gundam and the articulation, and pretty much that's it. The bulk of this video will probably be done in the second part, but for now I might as well just focus on the articulation. Speaking of articulation, why don't we get started on that? For the head is on a double ball joint, but most of the movements in the base of the neck. And it's actually pretty free. I actually thought this was going to be limited at first, but no, it's actually pretty free. And the head can look up pretty far and not really that far down. As for the arms, there's a lot of articulation on the arms than I expected. You can go up, but you can also extend the joint there. And there's a moving joint up here, so which means it can go even higher, which can really open up to more hey, hello, hi, how are you poses. Don't know why I said that. The armor for the shoulder joint can move up. As for the arm itself, stop shaking camera, or stop shaking iPad, it can swivel at the top of the arm, double jointed elbows, and the beam saber's just pegged off. Actually, heck, might as well remove them now to make things a lot simpler. And again, I haven't actually finished painting the damn thing. I'm kind of lazy, but I did do some painting right there. I guess that counts. Also, I should probably push that back in. There we go. And that's pretty much it for the arms. As for the waist, there's not much movement except up and down. Now there's supposed to be a waist pivot, but I don't see how it's gonna work with the core fighter in there or not. But might as well leave it be. So we're not gonna touch the waist pivot. I'm actually a bit too scared to touch that. As for the actual waist itself, it can swivel at the most, which is actually pretty cool. It's actually just because of the way it's built. As for the waist, front skirts go up, side skirts go out, and the back skirts go back. And the leg is actually pretty articulated. You can go forward that far. It's on a universal joint, but unfortunately it can't really kick back that far due to the limitations of the joint itself. Since, well, the back of it will smack, and the actual joint itself is not in the middle, it's actually in the front. I'll explain more of it when I put this thing into inner frame mode. As for the splits, yeah, you can pretty much do the splits, no problem. As for the knee, they're double jointed, which then reveals some armor and some joints, or actually some hydraulics. I didn't actually paint it very well. I actually was very sleepy while I was painting. As for the foot, main token move, and the other part of the token move. Oh, so one of the problems I have with the kit is that some of the parts of the foot are way too loose, but again, super glue can do no wrong in this situation. I just don't have any at the moment. So the foot can go up to that far when you've articulated it, or you've moved it, essentially. And also if it's very loose. I should probably get to fixing some of those errors right after this video, or right after the second part of the video, so I hopefully don't screw up anything. Anyway, the hands I probably won't be covering the articulation. Ah, screw it, let's just do it anyway. Mine, I actually split the fingers, so they're all individually articulated, but right out of the runner, they're actually, the index finger is the separate part, is also the thumb, but the middle finger, the ring finger, and the pinky finger are all connected. So if you want to get individually articulated fingers, you might have to do some bit of modification, but the modification is simple enough, so I suggest you go for it. It gives the Gundam a lot more expressive hands, instead of you having to go with swapping hands all the time. But if you are a collector that doesn't really play with the toys that much, these expressive hands probably won't mean anything much. Anyway, that's all I will cover for today's video. In the next video, I will probably be covering what was the bulk of this video, which was the accessories, the gimmicks, and the inner frame. So, anyway, that's all for part 1. See you in the next part of this review.